Greetings. January 28th is Data Privacy Day, and those of us that are interested in privacy of our information try to do something to emphasize the importance of protecting the data that is stored in so many of our electronic systems. Our society is shifting, or has shifted, from a paper-based society to an electronic-based society. COVID sped up that process. We started to have Zoom meetings. Then we could record those meetings, or we could transcribe those meetings. We visited our doctor online. We attended classes online. We purchased many items online and had them delivered to our doorstep or went to the store to pick them up. And we ordered takeout online. Each of those activities or those transactions created data. Someone, somewhere, some server stored that data. And I emphasize, that is your and my data. At the same time, we began to experience an increase in the number of breaches that were occurring in our country. These breaches became public, and the scope of the breaches just seemed to get larger and larger. For example, in our province, eHealth had a breach with a significant amount of data at risk. Didn't just happen here. Eastern Health in Newfoundland had a breach, and that breach is still under investigation. And just recently, Sick Children's Hospital in Ontario has had a breach, and I'm sure many of you have heard about that in the news. In Saskatchewan, Sask Liquor and Gaming had a breach with a significant amount of data. Similarly, in Ontario, the Ontario Liquor Board had a breach. I'm sure you've heard that in the news recently. The demands of the hackers is for ransom, and it has made hacking very profitable, thus motivating hackers to find more and more ways of extracting ransom. We say in our office when we do presentations, it's not if a breach occurs, it is when a breach occurs. Experts also say it is us personally or us as employees whose actions cause hackers to get into our systems. Our actions may be unintentional, accidental, we didn't want it to happen, but somehow we let the hackers in. There just has become a need for constant vigilance. And I must say right now, never open a suspicious email. If you don't recognize the sender, don't open it. Never click on a button or a link that strikes you as being suspicious. The need for constant vigilance is there. The need for constant warnings given to us to remind us of the risks is essential. My office has prepared a video on this, and the link is on the screen at the moment. We are going to put that link up at the end of my presentation here, so you can click on it and get more details of what employees should or shouldn't do. So we personally need to be extremely careful. We need to be careful at home and in our workplace. Now the question arises, can the organizations we work for or work with do more to protect data? And the answer is yes. One good example is that it can sign up with a service provider that will provide education and training to staff. Short videos or short text reminding people of what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And some of these providers allow you to create simulated phishing attacks. And you, with the help of your staff, can create a fake email that tests staff on their alertness. These simulated phishing expeditions can see just how alert your staff can be. Experts also say that organizations fail to install patches right away. Patches result when a service provider realizes that there's a hole, a bug, a gap, a backdoor, a way that the hackers have found into the system. And the patch is intended to close that door. So it's essential that organizations be aware when patches occur and have someone responsible for having them installed right away. Many organizations have firewalls. And the question arises, do you have the best firewall that's out there? Does the firewall provider provide you with updates to its software? Does it alert you to those updates? And do you have someone who monitors that to make sure that the updates are installed right away? Now, organizations now have employees who work in the office and at home, generally referred to as the hybrid arrangement. Now, at the office, we of course have the firewall, and if it's up to date, it provides protection. But what about at home? People are not behind the firewall. They may be behind the firewall of their internet provider. And is it sufficient, and what level of protection has the individual incurred? Can things be done in this area to protect our laptops and desktops wherever they may be located, in the office, at home? And the answer is yes. First of all, there is software that can be installed in each and every desktop and laptop that will warn you of breaches. You can go further and have a monitoring service that further alerts you to those breaches, and at your request, they can take actions to prevent or take corrective action. And finally, you can engage what is generally called a management SOC, a Security Operations Center, which is an outside provider that will monitor your systems, desktops and laptops, 24/7. Now, of course, the more service you request, the greater the cost. But I would encourage every organization to acquire or buy as much protection as their budget allows. And in some instances, engage in discussions to increase that budget so that risks are reduced and the hackers are kept at bay as much as practically possible in today's world. Now, if you are skeptical about the consequences of a breach, talk to someone who's had a breach, and you will find the costs are significant. They usually have to engage outside resources, which are very expensive, to try and track down the breach and eliminate it from the systems. If it's a significant amount of data, it will usually attract public attention. The media will have articles on it, and your reputation is put at risk. And the trust of those that use your service is jeopardized. All of these things, I would suggest you really do not want to happen. So on Data Protection Day, or whenever you listen to this video, engage your organization in discussions, asking, what can we do to reduce the risks of data breaches? How can we best protect the data? So I'm going to thank you for listening to this video. We're going to keep the slide up for a few minutes with various resources that you can click on and read more details about. I particularly note the video done by our office suggesting the various steps that you can take to increase security. So all I ask is, let us all work together to protect our data. Thank you.